to this reading of The Library of Ever. We're going to be reading chapters 12 through 14 today. And at the end, we're going to have a special little STEM project for you, of course. And I have my own version of it, but I bet you can come up with something really, really cool too. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get started with the book. Chapter 12. Lenora Gets It. The spaceship was nothing like the sleek, solid vessels Lenora had seen before. The hull had been patched together out of various metals of all shapes and sizes. Windows bulged randomly in odd locations. Even more curiously, for a spaceship, some of them were open. It looked like a house that had been put together in a hurry. A door on one side was just the size of the bearish, caterpillarish animal building the ship. Above the door were the words, Tardigrade Transport. The animal, which Lenora strongly suspected was a tardigrade, spotted her and promptly plunged a claw into a toolbox. After a bit of rummaging, she held out a headset to Lenora. "Let me guess," Lenora said. "It's a Tardigrade Translator 3000, she said, fitting it expertly onto her head. 4,000, actually," said the tardigrade. Tardigrade speech is much more complex than that of, say, penguins. All they ever talk about is lying around on the ice and on their bellies, whereas tardigrades have sophisticated conversations about interesting topics such as scriptobiosis and space travel. "Space travel?" said Lenora. "I guess that explains the spaceship." The tardigrade nodded. As she spoke, she continued to move her claws about simultaneously, working on the spaceship, doing calculations, and playing chess with herself. Lenora felt certain that tardigrades would make excellent librarians. "You see," the tardigrade said, "yesterday my brother decided to voyage to the multiple star system of Alpha Centauri, just over 4 light years away, to start a new life. He invited me to go along, but I declined. I regretted the decision the moment I watched his spaceship take off. Thus, I have built my own spaceship so I can join him." "You built an entire spaceship in one day?" asked Lenora, amazed. "But that would explain its appearance." Cinnamon, for her part, was scrambling all over the rickety vessel, emitting a fishy scent that suggested great curiosity. "Oh yes," the tardigrade said. "I know it's not much to look at, but it's made by experienced space travelers. Tardigrade technology can be trusted utterly. Even I've installed an artificial gravity generator, a technology humans have yet to discover. My only trouble is that my brother took all our books on how to get to Alpha Centauri. My first thought, of course, was to ask the librarian. I miss my brother terribly, and I fear I will never catch him if I don't leave soon." Lenora's heart went out to what was clearly a very sad tardigrade. "Never fear, I can help you, I think. There was a book on orbital mechanics in my section. It seems to be the sort of thing you could use." "Oh yes," the tardigrade brightened. "Most certainly." She plunged a paw into her toolbox and handed Lenora a library card. "But not just that. I also need anything you can find about stops along the way, like Oort Cloud and the Kuiper Belt, and the planets of Jupiter and Pluto." "They say Pluto's not a planet anymore," Lenora interrupted. Tardigrade snarled. "As far as we tardigrades are concerned, Pluto is and always will be a planet. End of discussion." Cinnamon, from the top of the spaceship, emitted a potent leather scent that indicated her complete agreement. Lenora saw no reason to argue. She had always thought that Pluto seemed like a perfectly fine planet, whatever the adults might tell her. She took out her notebook. Pluto is always and will always be a planet, she underlined firmly. I'll see what I can do, she told the Tardigrade. But first, aren't you worried about such a long trip through space all by yourself? What if you forget you're in space and open a window? Whatever would I worry about that, sniffed the Tardigrade. We Tardigrades are the hardiest survivors in all the animal kingdom. We are, in fact, the first animals ever to survive the open vacuum of outer space. We can survive 1,000 times the radiation level of any other animal. Lenora began scribbling wildly in her notebook. Not to mention, surviving being frozen to absolute zero. We can go decades without food or water, and your trip to the Alpha Centuria is nothing to a Tardigrade. We are the ultimate survivors. Marvelous, said Lenora. She wished she could do any of those things. One of the Tardigrade's many talents might have helped her fix the horrid mess back in her unknown department. But the Tardigrade needed her, and so she simply had to think of something. I'll be back as soon as I can, she said to the Tardigrade, trying to sound determined and confident. Cinnamon came racing down from the spaceship. Lenora patted the ant on her head. Take me back to the unshrinking room, please. Cinnamon lowered her jaws obligingly. As they wheeled away, Lenora's worries mounted. Her department was a complete wreck from the tornado. However, she would she find the books the Tardigrade needed, assuming they were even in her department to begin with. It would take years of work for only one librarian. They were back in the streets of Ant City now, surrounded by thousands of other ants streaming in all directions, carrying bits of food or fleshly-looking things she supposed were eggs and chunks of construction material. Thousands, if not millions of ants, all in perfect order, feeding, building their countless pheromone trails, keeping them in constant coordination, acting as one to maintain their vast and lonely metropolis. Lenora's gaze went up, up, up to the tall towers that reached the heavens, to the enormous wind turbines atop them, which she realized now could only provide power, but maybe. Lenora leapt to the ground and whirled to face Cinnamon. I've got it! Chapter 13. Lenora leaps. Lenora paced back and forth along the street in Ant City, thinking aloud, I'm going to need ants, lots of ants, as many as we can get. Do you think some of the others would be willing to help? A sense like a salty air came from Cinnamon in a way that suggested the ants would do anything to help the librarian. Thank you. Now, we don't have much time, said Lenora. We've got to get the message out as fast as possible. She pointed to one of the spinning turbines far above them. I was thinking maybe, Cinnamon understood immediately. Clasping Lenora ever so gently between her pincers, she raced straight up the side of the nearest tower. Up, up, up they went. Lenora, thinking to herself that she shouldn't look down, then looking down anyway. Thousands of ants far below now looked like, well, ants. The wind up here was getting stronger, and now she could see more of Ant City, which stretched on to what seemed like an infinity, and never-ending megalopolis. And she wondered if the world of ants dwarfed anything that humans had ever built or ever would build. And now they had reached the turbine. Lenora managed not to think too hard about what would happen if Cinnamon lost her grip, which Lenora knew she wouldn't. The turbine's powerful blades cut through the air. The constant breeze up here keeping them in a constant motion, a breeze which Lenora planned to employ to her own needs. Tell them the library needs their help, called Lenora, and Cinnamon, leaning out, sent her message into the winds, a message that smelled like the plowed earth and burnt rubber and a basket of dried apples. Librarian needs help. And the message worked. Lenora could see when she and Cinnamon raced back down to the tower because dozens of ants had dropped everything and assembled below in long, orderly ranks. Soon Lenora found herself a general at the head of an army. Onward, she ordered, and the columns marched rapidly through the streets and tunnels and out through the ant city arch into the library proper. Watch out for anyone in an overcoat and a boiler hat, she called, pointing the way to the unshrinking room as the army hurried across the floor. Everybody in, she cried, and her army rushed across the threshold. In moments, Lenora was back to her normal size, and the room was filling up with human-sized ants. They raced into the corridor to make room as one after another unshrank. Really, it was unshrinking if they were small to begin with. Lenora decided to leave the question for another day. Soon, the ants were all rushing through the halls, and startled patrons leapt out of the way. Sorry, Lenora cried over and over. Important library business. Traveling by ants was proving to be even faster than by tube. In hardly any time at all, Lenora was back to her unknown section. She installed herself near her desk and continued giving orders. Ants dashed around in all directions, stacking and shelving and organizing and straightening. They brought Lenora books and she told them where to put them, and it was exactly as she had suspected. With books on space travel and tardigrades and radiation and extreme cold, there was no doubt that she was in the tardigrade section. She ran into the hallway and confirmed that tardigrades now appeared above the entrance. When everything was done and the tardigrade section was looking thoroughly professional and organized, Lenora asked the helpful ants to gather books on orbital mechanics and features of the solar system and beyond. On and bring the moose too, she told them. She never knew what might come in handy. She climbed aboard Cinnamon for the journey. Back to the drinking room, Lenora soon found herself standing in front of the tardigrade. Will these do? She asked, showing her books. Oh yes, said the tardigrade, clapping 6 claws together. Precisely what I need, and just in time as my spaceship is complete. The tardigrade gathered up all the books and clambered back into her ship. Bon voyage, and do get some distance away if you don't mind. When these rockets go off, it will be quite hot in here. The ants hurried away, and then it hit Lenora. The multiple star system of Alpha Centauria was more than 4 light years away. However, would the library get those books back? Lenora ran to the ship, up the ladder, and through the open door. There, in the control room, squatted a tardigrade in front of a control panel. Lenora's eyes widened as one of the tardigrade's claws pushed the button labeled launch. The hatch behind her slammed shut, and the floor shuddered and trembled. The words, "Artificial gravity enabled," flashed on a computer screen. No, shouted Lenora, but it was too late. Outside the windows, Lenora could see the dome's ceiling brushed past an open sky. They were headed for outer space. Abort! Cried Lenora. Abort! The tardigrade's eyes widened as it turned to face Lenora. Sorry, but once I've launched, there's no way back. You're just gonna have to come with me to Alpha Centauria. Don't worry, you're more than welcome, and it will be a very exciting trip. Under different circumstances, Lenora would have been thrilled to join the voyage. She had always considered herself a potential space traveler, and she would have liked to see the planet Pluto and its beautiful heart-shaped plain close up. But she dearly loved her job as a library. There simply had to be some way home. Then she remembered the moose. She grabbed its suitcase. What about this? It says something about leaping from outer space. My goodness, said the tardigrade. Is that a moose? She waved some claws excitingly. That might help. Mooses were made for astronauts in the 1960s, in case they had to jump out of their spaceships and parachute to Earth. They could do that? Of course, said the tardigrade. Probably. If they tested it off bridges, actually. But I'm sure it would have been fine. She opened the suitcase and removed the moose, which looked like something like a bean bag and nothing like anything you would want to jump from space in. I don't know, said Lenora dubiously. Never fear, said the tardigrade. I can fix this, so that it will work perfectly. Once activated, you'll be surrounded by foam to cushion your landing, and this foldable heat shield will protect you during re-entry. In your shrunken state, you weigh so much less than a normal astronaut. She grabbed a wrench and made several quick adjustments. Now the rockets should direct you straight back to the library. Well, Lenora was torn. The box said clearly that the moose was not supposed to jump from space, but the wise and experienced tardigrade had built a working spaceship in less than a day after all. She looked out the window. They were now in space, and she could see the blue earth below, and a glimpse of the stars she so longed to travel among. Best choose now, said the tardigrade. If we fly much farther, you won't be able to get back by moose. With the ache of regret, Lenora gestured for the moose. The tardigrade worked quickly, fastening straps and buckles until Lenora was blanketed. Sleeping bag like with something hard against her back and a visor she could see through. The tardigrade waved goodbye, opened the door, and tossed her out into space. The moose spun end over end. First, Lenora saw the long arc of the Earth's horizon and all along the edge of its impossibly thin atmosphere. Was there really so little air for such a big planet? Rippled, shimmering petals of yellows and greens, and she could hardly have time to think. The Northern Lights! Or possibly Southern. Before she felt the rumble of rockets firing all around, positioning the heat shields behind her for descent, her view swung away from the Earth, and she was looking straight out at the whole galaxy hanging there like pictures she had seen of the Milky Way, which she had never seen because she'd grown up in the city with bright lights that burned all night. But there was the Milky Way blazing across the cosmos like a silver river packed with floating gemstones, filling the void in their millions with all the colors that could ever be. The stars, Lenora reached for them. But then she was falling back into the atmosphere. The sky faded to its normal blue just as the rocket switched off. Lenora, snug in the moose, plunged back to Earth. Soon a parachute deployed, and she gently drifted to the ground. She allowed herself a moment of heartsickness for what she had left behind, then found a handle and pulled. The moose fell open, foam spilling everywhere. As Lenora stood, she felt a humming, and she looked down at her badge. Lenora, First Assistant Apprentice, Librarian, Official Court Librarian of the Kingdom of Starpoint 17, Honorary Queen of the Penguins, Moose pioneer. She was in a tiny courtyard, surrounded by little columns, far above tall blades of grass, like skyscrapers to Lenora, waved in the gentle breeze. This seemed to be a miniature reading space for miniature readers, and books and comfortable chairs were scattered everywhere. And in front of her stood Malachi. Chapter 14. Lenora and the Enemy. It was the Terrorgrade section, declared Lenora, brushing off bits of tray foam. Quickly, she explained everything to Malachi about the spaceship and Cinnamon. Ah, of course, Malachi mused. When I was a girl in Egypt, several Terrorgrades were among my most cherished playmates. They were very complex and interesting animals and were entirely worthy of their own section of the library. Cinnamon must have already known that, or she wouldn't have come to that section for help, Lenora said. However did she know? Oh, ants helped build many parts of the library long ago, Malachi said. They know it perhaps better than anyone. Lenora could easily imagine that. Considering the wonders of the vast ant metropolis, she resolved if there were ever another unknown section, she would simply ask the nearest ant. So, what's my next assignment? She asked. Replied Malachi, putting a finger alongside her sharp nose. I don't think I'll give you one. What? Lenora exclaimed, feeling her heart plunge in her chest. Is it because I forgot the books? I'm so sorry, I'll get them back. I'll build a spaceship. Here, let me go look in some plans. She turned to rush back to the Terrorgrade section, where she was sure spaceship blueprints could be found. Don't be silly, Lenora, said Malachi. It's not that at all. True, you made one mistake, but try to look at the big picture. You also reorganized the section in hours that would have otherwise taken months, not to mention demonstrating the practicality of bailout re-entry to the Earth from space while you were at it. Don't let one minor setback throw you off track. No one is perfect. Lenora disagreed. Malachi seemed perfect through and through, but she didn't argue. Still, the books. It's my responsibility to get them back. Yes, so put in a request to have the librarians on the Proxima Centuria be returned then. I'm sure you can find the transfers division yourself. Everything did seem quite wrapped up. Then why aren't you giving me another assignment? She thought of asking Malachi about the people in the bowler hats and then decided no. She wanted to solve her problems herself. You are the first assistant apprentice librarian. Now, Lenora, it's time for you to choose your own assignments. Joy enveloped Lenora. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She could smell books even more passively. The choices were infinite. What did she want? From here, she could go anywhere. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer a tiny courtyard amid towering blades of grass, but standing on that grass in a much larger courtyard. Malachi was also normal size, if you could describe a 10-foot-tall chief answerer that way, was also standing there and beginning to look a bit impatient. Lenora did not bother to ask how they had unshrunk. With Malachi around, she was sure that the shrinking and unshrinking rooms weren't needed. She heard a girl's cry, "Mommy, hurry up!" Lenora turned to see a small girl with black pigtails and a smattering of freckles calling on her mother's arm. The mother was gazing longingly down a hallway that was not in the direction that her daughter was pulling. A sign with an arrow pointed down that hall. New Diorama, Bubbatis, Ancient Egypt, City of Cats. There were some pamphlets next to the sign, and Lenora snatched one up. As the mother tried to redirect her daughter, "No, look, dear, a new diorama. Would you like to?" "Mommy, come on," the girl cried. "I have so many questions." Dropping her mother's arm, she raced away down the opposite corridor. With a sigh, the mother hurried after her. Lenore decided, "I would like to work wherever that girl is going," she said to Malachi, or would have said to Malachi if Malachi were still there, which she was not. When Lenora had first come to the library, she was fazed by the chief answer's sudden disappearances, but no longer. She ran after the mother and daughter, and as she went, she thought about the millions of stars in the Milky Way gleaming against the void. She wondered again about the words "knowledge is a light," and if they meant that knowledge was like stars, seeming very close but actually far away. Because you can't know everything, though she wondered about Malachi. But no, that didn't seem quite right, somehow. They came to a wide, steep stairway. On both sides there were ornate banisters, and Lenora was glad of these, because the height of the stairway looked rather uncomfortable. The freckled girl began to run up the stairs as fast as she could, leaving her distressed mother plodding behind. Lenora ran too, thinking this energetic girl might need help, might need keeping an eye on. The library fell away on both sides of the stairs, went up and up, and up, and up some more. Lenora was beginning to wonder if the steps would ever lead anywhere, when at last they approached the majestic archway above which the history of science was chiseled in large, glorious letters. The section was not particularly big, as Lenora had expected for such a grandiose topic. It was not that much bigger than calendars, in fact, but while the section lacked in size, its books did not. The suffering shelves groaned and sagged under the weight of the biggest books Lenora had ever seen. A few of them were sitting on wheeled carts, which Lenora imagined must be the only way you could move such heavy volumes. There were other things too, like a ceiling that was mostly a skylight through which the sun shone, leaving the whole section comfortably warm. And there was the help desk, which was covered in tools Lenora recognized, like rulers and compasses and microscopes and tools she didn't recognize, the sextants and calipers and amatometers. She would look those up later. But there was a little time to notice anything else, because the energetic girl was racing around the section in all directions, and patrons sitting at stone tables reading enormous books were casting annoying glances in her direction. Lenora went straight to the girl, hoping a book would be just the thing to calm her down. "Hello," she said. "How may I help you?" "Oh, a librarian," the girl said, stopping her racing for just a moment. "I want the biggest book you have. I have so many questions." "So I've heard," said Lenora. "Why don't you sit still for just a moment while I find it?" The small girl handed over her library card and plopped obediently onto the nearby chair, beaming with contentment. As Lenora hurried away, wanting to find that book before the girl darted off again, Lenora did not have to search long. In the middle of the stacks was a pedestal, and on the pedestal stood a book that was taller than Lenora, and certainly thicker too. It was a colossal specimen of a book. If only it could float, Lenora would have been able to sail the 7 seas upon this tome. Okay. It was a struggle to get it onto the cart. Lenora had to shove until the book toppled off the pedestal and onto the cart, and then push with all her might to wheel it back to the waiting girl. But the girl seemed pleased with this copy of the entire scientific history of the universe from the Planck epoch to now. Lenora wondered, however, the girl would take it with her, until the girl plucked it with ease and danced quite happily, waving it over her head. Lenora sighed, wondering if this section was required for a rather larger and more muscular librarian. She sat in her place at the section's help desk and began to read the pamphlet about New Budapest diorama. But soon her reading was interrupted by something odd. She was shivering just a little. She looked down at her arm and saw goosebumps. She looked at the skylight. She thought the sun would keep the room comfortable, but the sun didn't seem to be shining anymore. In fact, out of nowhere, dark clouds had gathered high in the sky. That still didn't explain the cold, which was getting worse by the second. Patrons were beginning to look around with concern, muttering about the temperature. Lenora thought perhaps she could find a thermostat somewhere and turn up the heat. She peered beneath the desk, and then she heard something. A muffled crash, far away among the stacks. She thought something fell. Other than that crash, everything was quiet. The usual busy library sounds had gone dead silent. In the midst of this heavy silence, Lenora heard a sharp rapping, like a cane tapping angrily on the floor, coming closer. She raised her head back above the desk, and there stood a man. It was a man in a bowler hat. Ooh, well, we'll pick up there next week. Getting to know these bowler hat people some more, huh? That's pretty cool about the ants and how she was able to take those tiny little ants and blow them up really big so that they could be the size of humans, and they could organize that whole section of the library really, really quickly. That's so cool. But anyway, we're going to get into the STEM project, but I hope that you enjoyed that reading, and yeah, let's go ahead and get started. This week, your STEM project and challenge is to make something that you would see in a carnival or a circus. Okay, so you can create like carnival games, or you can create a circus tent, or maybe you can make tight ropes for, like, if you have dolls and you want to have dolls on tight ropes, that would be pretty cool. Or you could build your own track, like in the living room, like a relay race kind of a thing. That's something you might see in a circus, see the clowns doing or something like that. But you can just make whatever you want. So what I decided to go with is I took some of these scarves, a whole bunch of them in this container, okay? And so at carnivals, a lot of times you have those carnival games, and so like you might hit the bottles and you get like a prize at the end, or you get someone to try and guess how old you are. Well, this one, you're gonna guess how many scarves are in this container. So you have a whole bunch of scarves in this container, and the scarves look like this. Okay, they're about this big. They're thin. They're big, like that. So how many of these do you think fit in here? Put it in your mind. Think it in your mind. Think. Okay. How many scarves? Do you think there's like 5 scarves? Do you think there's like 100 scarves? How many scarves do you think is in here? Got a good guess? Yeah? Alright, let's start seeing how many scarves are in here. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold the scarves up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 scarves. Look at all this. This is a lot of scarves that fit in this one container. It's pretty crazy, huh? 8 scarves. Well, what did you guess? Did you guess right? How close did you get? Did you guess like under 10? That's pretty close. Did you guess like 15? That's pretty close. Did you guess like a whole bunch of scarves? That's okay, because it's hard to figure out exactly how many scarves can fit inside of this. Pretty difficult. But if you guess pretty close, or you guess the actual number, good job. That's awesome. So what I want you to do is just create something that would belong in a circus or a carnival. And I would love to see pictures of it. If you can post them on Facebook, on the comment section in this post. Or you can also email them to my email at kbdavis@mccpl.lib.al.us. Alright, well, thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you next week.